In this video, we are going to talk about nutrition and how nutrition can complement your training, your lifestyle, and fundamentally get you the results you're looking for. Now, nutrition is just as important as your training, if not more. We've all heard the phrase, you can't out-train a bad diet, and that is totally true in this case. No matter how good your training is, if your diet is poor, you're not eating the right kind of foods, you're eating a lot more food than you should be, then your training and your results are going to suffer because of it. So with that in mind, let's discuss the 4 most important pillars when it comes to nutrition: calories, proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Now, before we get too complicated and going through carbohydrates, proteins, fats, and macros, the main thing to take away at the beginning is your calories. So calories in versus calories out. Now, what do I mean by that? So for example, if you are burning 2,000 calories in your training, but you're eating 2,500 or 3,000 calories, you are going to be in what we call a calorie surplus. That means you're eating more food than you're actually burning, which basically means you are going to put on weight. On the other side, if you are eating 2,000 calories, but you're burning 3,000 calories, then you're eating 1,000 calories less. As a result, you're eating less calories, you're in a calorie deficit, and you will then start to lose weight. So before we get introduced to the main 3 food groups, you need to understand that if you want to lose weight, you need to be eating less calories than you are burning. If you are wanting to put on weight, add size, and add muscle, you need to be eating more calories than you are burning. Tracking calories now is easier than it ever has been. Now with technology, we are able to use apps like MyFitnessPal in order to track your calories and your macros and make sure you are staying on point and you're burning the right amount of calories for you. So the 2 habits that I believe you should implement are: start by tracking your food. Write down your food throughout the day, put it into MyFitnessPal so you can see how many calories you're eating. Over the weeks, if you feel as though you're losing weight, that's a great amount of calories to be on if your goal is to lose weight. If your weight is the same or you're putting on weight, you know that you need to start reducing your calories in order to get to the goal weight and body fat you are after. Habit number 2, don't be too precise on setting a calorie target. Rather than going for exact 2,000, give yourself 2,000 to 2,400 or 1,800 to 2,200. At least that way you have a few things to play with. You're never going to be perfect. You're never going to get it on the dot every single day, every single meal. So giving yourself that target means you're going to get less stressed, it's easier to follow, and the results will still be the same. So now calories are covered, the next important thing to talk about is protein. Now, out of all the macronutrients, protein is the most significant, and it's the one that needs to be paid more attention to than carbohydrates and fat. Now, the reason for this is protein is there for repairing muscles, growth, sleep, and satiety. Protein can be found in many foods such as beef, chicken, lamb, as well as tofu, also beans, nuts, dairy, as well as protein powder and supplements. When it comes to eating the right amount of protein, here are a few habits that you can implement today to make sure you're getting adequate protein and you're taking it from the right sources. Habit number 1, ensure you're having protein with every meal. So if you're having a meal 3 times a day, make sure you're having protein with each of those meals. That can come from the foods that I've just mentioned, as well as many others. At least if you have protein with every single meal, you know you're more liable to hit that protein content that you're looking for, your muscles will be repaired, you'll recover better, and you'll be stronger throughout your sessions. Habit number 2, and this is for those that want to be a bit more precise. If you want to set a protein target that's going to work for you and that it's a good amount of adequate protein per day, set your target to 2 to 2.7 grams per kilogram of body weight. So for example, if you're an 80 kilogram person, you should be having anywhere from 160 to 220 grams of protein per day in your diet. This is going to be dependent on how many meals you have, whether you're male, female, looking to build muscle or lose weight. But between 2 and 2.7 grams per kilogram of body weight is a good way to go. The second macronutrient we are going to look at are fats. Now, fats are very important. Don't go on what you see in magazines, on the internet, or what people tell you. Fats are important for many reasons, the main one being hormone regulation. Typically, fats can be found in foods such as nuts, oils, red meat, and oily fish. The thing about fats are they are twice the amount of calories than you would find in carbohydrates and protein. So ensure that you're not overeating too many fats. So here's a few habits you can implement to make sure you're eating the right amount. Habit number 1, set your intake of fat to at least 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. So for example, if you're a 60 kilogram woman looking to lose weight, get fit and stay healthy, you want to be aiming for around 60 grams of fat per day. Habit number 2, try having fats with most of your meals. This is going to help with hormone regulation and it's going to ensure you get the right amount of fats in throughout the day. However, try and avoid fats post-workout, as this is when carbohydrates are utilized better. This we'll go on to in the next part. This can always change depending on whether you're having a high-fat diet or a high-carbohydrate diet. But a good rule of thumb is to have 1 gram of fat per kilogram of body weight. Finally, the last macronutrient we're going to talk about is carbohydrates. Now, there are a few myths around carbohydrates that I'm going to talk about now. The first one being, don't have carbohydrates after 6 p.m. In all honesty, it doesn't matter what time you have carbohydrates, it's not going to make much of a difference. Yes, there are certain times that you can utilize carbohydrates more, but having them later in the evening isn't going to affect fat loss. We've all heard brown rice and sweet potato is better than white rice and white potato. Same again, this is false. It really is dependent on the person. If you prefer brown rice, great. If you prefer sweet potato, great. But having white rice or white potato isn't going to make much of a difference. Carbohydrates can be found in foods such as rice, potatoes, pasta, bread, fruit, as well as many other things. Carbohydrates are a great source of energy, and more importantly, they help fuel your workouts, make sure you're performing, and make sure you're sleeping well. Now, a great time to incorporate carbohydrates into your workout is post-workout. This is when your glycogen stores are low, when energy's low, you're tired, and you need something to replenish your body and give you that pickup that you need. So here are a couple of habits that you can implement to make sure you're having the right amount of carbohydrate in your diet. Habit number 1, start to implement carbohydrates in your diet around your workouts. This is going to make sure you have the energy you need, you replenish the glycogen stores you've lost, and you're full and fitter and full of energy post-workout. Habit number 2, try and incorporate most of your carbohydrates on your training days. This is when you're going to utilize it the most. So on non-training days, have lots of vegetables, lots of salad, but try and avoid carbohydrates like sweet potatoes, rice, and pasta. Have those on your training days instead. You'll feel better for it, you'll have more energy, you'll be fitter, and you'll train for longer and better.